So, Dr. Pat, this is like informal, casual conversation during our cafe. And when we begin our talk, we usually just introduce ourselves and, talk about the work that we're doing.
Let's say hello. I'm back.
Yeah,
Hi, Alpha. How are you?
I am recovering from a fall I just took.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
literally.
I'm here in the
Do
office
you
with
have swelling going on and a whole big problem over there, Alpha? How is it your ankle?
It is my knee and
Oh,
also my I hit the right here with my jaw caught the rail of the elevator.
Oh my, so this
I
was
didn't see it was a yeah, it was
the
kinda,
fall.
yeah, it was, yeah, and my jaw right here caught the fall. So anyway, it's gonna be a bruise. But I can talk, my teeth are loose.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
Great
do you
deal with- No, it's just one of those things, I guess. I'm just stumbling into the elevator was up a bit and it caused me to trip when I, unexpectedly trip. And hit the ground and hit the rail of the
I'm
elevator.
so sorry.
Right, but I'm here, I'm persevering with the
I
leg up.
see that. Are we 100% sure we should be?
Yes, we should be. We're
Okay.
fine. We're
Okay.
fine. And I really had wanted to talk with Dr. Adelekan and the work that she's doing, and because of the legacy work and the article that we didn't get a chance to go over last week. And that article was based on philanthropy and how few African American artists are in the museum field. And I sent you another article with how many museum that are in the museum practice are barely making a living doing this work that we're doing, and able to sustain themselves. So we can, talk about how those two topics collide, with the work that we're doing in the field. And so we have, Will's going to join us. Great. I'm glad he was able to join us because he's doing some pioneer work in Fresno as well. And both of these museums are, working together with Dr. Pat and the work that she's doing with Youth on the Move, which is the, nonprofit for the International Educators Hall of Fame. And then we'll introduce his project. So,
Fantastic.
all right. Yeah, Dr. Pat, you want to go ahead on and introduce yourself? And this is a cafe,
Yes.
and we're casual here.
It is very casual. Alpha, by the way, you started the recording. Are we on the view of the speaker or the gallery?
Let's be on the view of the speaker. There we go.
You have to set that because you started the recording.
That's fine.
You got here first. Okay, despite the fall. Thank you. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm here in Anaheim, California, and I'm in the Youth on the Move office, a nonprofit organization that's 37 years old. And I'm with two colleagues. One is a retired nurse, and she's going to come to Chicago with me to present what she's doing in her retirement. She's retired, and she helps us take care of our health and make sure we don't fall. And then I'm with Dolores, and she's a community activist, and we do a lot of things together. And we meet here in our office, and we're called the Collaborative, the Orange County Collaborative of Friends. And each person has a specialty. Dolores is very good. She's an activist in the community. I myself, I have a PhD in educational evaluation and research, and founder of the nonprofit youth group that's 37 years, and also the International Educators Hall of Fame. I met Alpha probably about 37 years ago. We started because her children were in our youth program. I remember she was working on her bachelor's degree, and she chose our program a Youth on the Move nonprofit, to do her community service work from her university. And that's how I really got to know her, her artistic talents, her free spirit, and so on. And she taught many of our kids drama. And we have films of those now from 37 years ago. Now those young men have their own children, they're grown up and so on. I was just blown apart last week, September 30th, when I had the opportunity to go to Fresno, California, to spend the day with artists in museums right there in Fresno. There were two artists. One is called Melanie, and the other one that she mentioned is Will Portis. And Will Portis is in our International Educators Hall of Fame because he teaches art. And he's been teaching it for over 20 years, and he's also an artist. So I think it was Alpha who nominated him, and committee saw him very fit. He invited us to Fresno to see what they're doing. And I went to his own gallery, which is a house filled with artwork that he has done. And last year at our International Educators Hall of Fame, he unveiled a painting that he done of even myself. And I think one of our people, she's going to show it. Let's see. How do you know how to do?
I think if you just put the phone in front of, they will see.
Right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Can you
yes.
see? Can you see it? Oh, okay. This is Will's painting
That's
of
Will's painting that he unveiled to the surprise of the whole audience last year. Well, when I visited last week, he must have 500 outstanding paintings just like this in his museum. And the other lady, Melanie, the same, just beautiful artwork. And Will had artwork of his students also in another case. I met one of his students there. He had art from somebody who was 90 years old, and how he presents the art to his students, how he teaches it. And even a 90-year-old, and how he teaches colors and tones and so many things. And they learn it because now they reproduce and you can see it in the art. What I was shocked about is that artwork was not in Washington, D.C. on the walls there, and in France and so many great places in the world. That was the quality that I saw. And from my perspective, and I'm not an expert, I just felt that they needed a marketing team. I felt that they needed a marketing team to market their artwork all over the world, because you can be an artist and be effective and do the marketing and be effective and do the traveling. So that is what I saw. There was a need for that. I don't know what else you want me to say, Alpha. Am I on the right track?
I think we're fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let Will Portis introduce himself because he is on the call.
Oh, good. Hi, Will. Is he on there?
He has to come off of mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Good. Unmute yourself. My artist Alpha, I
Yeah,
don't think he's better than you. Hi.
Hi.
There you are.
Hi.
Can you see him? Look.
I'm
Yes.
Mhm. Now this is a house that he turned it to.
Dr. Pat, you're gonna have to mute yourself so that Will could
Oh,
present.
sorry. Let's see, sweet.
I can mute. Just make sure to unmute when you'd like to speak. You'll be able to do.
Do you have any on? Actually, I'm teaching, so I'm gonna have to get back with you later.
You could leave us on and we can watch you teach. We'll just leave you on mute.
Well, I have to make a run out and do some Halloween type stuff outside, so I can leave you on if you just want to check things out.
Oh, okay. So
But the student's not in the classroom right now.
okay, great.
I'm going out to meet them now.
Okay, great. All right, and we'll put you back on mute and then we'll see you when you return.
Okay.
We're working artists here, so it's good to see if we can continue the conversation. This is great. You know, that we're still doing this cultural work, you know, as artists in the field, and we're not kind of like coming in as administrators. I'm still in my studio practice, you know, over in Sacramento. Shona is still in her practice. So this is the work that we do. So I had wanted to, and we can still entertain our conversation, Dr. Pat.
Yes.
You know, because there's a lot going on in my space here as well. But I had sent you an article, and I wanted to kind of pull that article up. And I don't know, Aisha, if you got the article as well, but I sent it out. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Kind of wanted to broach this conversation today on where there's so few people of color lead in art museums and can fill out the philanthropy change that, you know, and this article is based on you know, for philanthropic organizations that will spend more than 11 million to attract diverse talent to leadership roles in art museums. You know, and I know there is a trend on bringing young, you know, museum folks back into the museum field, you know, especially the millennials, and Asia is one of our fellows, and I thought this would be a good, interesting conversation to have today, you know, from an intergenerational perspective. Were you able to read the article, Asia?
I did. I found it to be very interesting. Of course, being new into the industry, I wasn't aware, other than just my own personal experience. So just reading the article, I found it to be very interesting. One, because I have a nonprofit, and then two, as a graduate student, one of the things that they've encouraged us to do is to have what they call, it's I forgot the term off the top of my head now, but basically like interviewing people that are doing the work that you're interested in. So just connecting with people, messaging them via LinkedIn and asking them for their time, where you're kind of understanding from their perspective the work that they've done. And for me, that's preservation of African American history and archives. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's not, I won't say there's not a lot of us, but there are more people, not Black people, that are doing our preservation. They're doing the research of our people. And I find that a bit interesting and a little frustrating, because I'm like, you know, and then you have different different people telling your story. So for example, I just returned from Sierra Leone. I got my citizenship, and I've had people from BBC that want to interview me and tell my story, but no one, you know, of our color telling our story. So our stories need to be heard, and our stories need to be preserved, as well as our culture and our heritage. But I think, in my personal opinion, it would be better if we were the ones to do that. And that has not been the case historically. So when I've reached out to people, I do try to reach out to everyone, regardless of what color they are. And a lot of the people that I've reached out to have not been African-American people. They're not people that look like me. So I just find it interesting. It's everyone else is interested in us and our story. And my husband was like, well, I don't think it's that we are not interested in us, is we are doing it in a non-traditional way. You know, we may not go to school for museums or libraries. You know, we may start out doing philanthropy or mom and pop shops. I have a cousin who's a writer. She's a screenwriter, and her husband is an artist. And their house sounds a lot like the house that she was explaining in Will's. Is they basically have turned their home into an art gallery. When they host people, they have new artists and artwork all the time. But you just have to know them to be invited. They live in Los Angeles, so they have a lot of very famous Black artwork in their home. So yeah, I just found that the article was interesting and very insightful, because I wasn't aware. I feel like, oh, Aisha, you're just being biased. You know, you haven't done any research. This is just maybe what you're seeing from your own personal experience. So to see an article writing about it, you know, even in libraries, my professor was, when I got an internship, when I began library school, she was like, yeah, we want to have some diversity in libraries. You know, they're just old white ladies like me. And at first, you know, I had to have conversations with my family, because I wanted the opportunity, because I was doing well in class. It was like, she didn't mention that I'm doing very well in class. She just wanted me because I'm a Black face and I'm Muslim. I wear hijab. So it took me a while to jump on board and be happy to be there, because I was like, I don't want a position just because I'm Black to fill a quota. But I had to really understand the point and the perspective, and to just take advantage of the opportunity. Because I was like, you know, I don't want anybody to hand me anything. I want to be here because I deserve to be here, not because of the color of my skin. But at the same time, I understood they were trying to bring a balance and trying to bring diversity. And by me being there, it would show other students of color, hey, you can be here, you have a place here, you know, to show them they can do it too. Because I'm 45 years old. I've never had a Black professor. I've never had a Black teacher or instructor or anything like that. I've never seen Black librarians in my libraries. So I think to have people of color in representation is important. But I just think that the approach of how it can be done, you know, we have inclusion and diversity programs, but even those, they're not ran by us. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
So, Dr. Pat, do you want to comment on from an educator that has so many inductees in the Hall of Fame?
Many of our educators are artists. And I think perhaps having met you, when I met you, you were an artist. And I'm thinking of John King. I'm thinking of all the artists that we knew in Sacramento. And when we wrote the mission of Youth on the Move, It was to help youth succeed in life. And we said 3 areas. One was the arts. Oh, one was the arts. And you can and what we did in Youth on the Move was, if we knew a child, we would observe the child, and I'm a teacher. Any type of artistic talent, the slightest bit, we would go to John King and say, hey, we got a kid who's interested. Can he come and spend a half a day with you? And Kevin, you remember Kevin, and
Kevin
so
Alana?
many other artists, and from the university. So we took it upon ourselves to find the artists so that the young people, they could be mentors to the young people and bring young people to their places of working, to expose them. And because we believe, part of our belief in Youth on the Move is that everybody has some type of talent, and many people have artistic talent, whether it's painting I'm sure you're probably one of them. Philanthropy, we would write grants to get an artist to come and do a workshop, even if it's one day, with our young people, so that they learn the talent. It could be poetry, it could be painting, it could be pastels or whatever. And as a result of that, the artist maybe got $500 and worked maybe with 30 kids for 4 or 5 hours. But what happened is that the artist, yourself and John King and some of the others, were able to teach the young people how to visualize art in their mind, how to use the colors to create what they want, the shadows, so on. And they were so, creative in that way and effective, that after 2 or 3 hours, we had art that was wonderful. And what we did with that, we went to the local frame shops and showed them the artwork of the young people, and asked the frame shops if they would frame for no charge, philanthropy, this artwork produced by the kids and the artists. And that's what they did. And they put this artwork in their shops. So downtown, in the governor's office, in the mayor's office, you would go and you'd walk down and you'd see this artwork created by the artists and the young people. So at the university, the same thing. We had artists there. We didn't do it because they were Black. We did it because they were talented and they happened to be Black also. Did I answer your question? And that is philanthropy, because they didn't, number one, somebody gave us the grant. We had to write for it. Somebody gave that money. Somebody, the artists, the frame shops, they donated the frames. And I don't know if that's what you mean by philanthropy. But people need to give and support the artistic talents of people.
I just have to unmute myself, but in terms of the work that you've done, you have been a lifetime philanthropist, with the work that you've done with your nonprofit. I think all of us on this call are philanthropists, for that matter. We have our own nonprofits. We raise money. I have a charitable, trust here with the Phantom Gallery, and the work you've done, for the past 38 years, with Youth on the Move as a philanthropist, and the work that you've been, driven to do with the Educators Hall of Fame, International Educators Hall of Fame. And then Aisha has said that she has her nonprofit, and we put money into that as philanthropists, because that is the work that we do. And we do need to introduce ourselves in that strain, that is the work that we do. We're philanthropists. And we also know that in this field, we garner, and I'm glad, Dr. Patton, talked about the artist, you know, because we have to have sponsors, we have to have people that collect our work, that respect our work, you know, and also that respect our voice. And we're not just those artists over there doing our thing, but respect our voice and our and how we position ourselves in the field. And museum practice, though, because you are, you know, the steward and director of the Legacy Museum there in Anaheim, you know, you can speak to that. And then we got Will back for a minute before his class. And if he wants to do the take on the work that he's doing there in Fresno with this new museum project that is going to be part of our case study. Hi.
Well, Alpha, we're in the floor plan stage, past the floor plan stage into the last meeting, and we will hopefully be breaking ground within the next 8 to 10 months. It's a pretty broad project. It covers not just the museum, but a recreation department, that's all collaborative with the city college itself. There will be affordable housing, there will be clinics, there will be restaurants, supermarket, and what have you. My major concern is the museum, and it will be called the American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation. And that has a reason. First of all, we want it to be focused on primarily the disasters that happened in America, which was done to the African American who descended from slaves and the Native Americans. And so their declaration as minorities, we want it to be lasting and very detailed in the historical preservation of it, where we can take students to from all around the valley and abroad to see and to be educated in the details, because we're so deep bedded in the fiber of American history that we couldn't possibly teach American history without it. We are also in process of having entertainment, media and entertainment, as well as visual arts included in our museum and our schedule. We would like to partnership with different museums to have other exhibits go throughout the Grand Gallery. We have 3 galleries on the 2nd floor, and one we want to really allocate for International Educators Hall of Fame. Along with all the things that go along with educators. We want all of the historical educators posted, not just in the information, but we want paintings of them, like Du Bois, George Washington Carver, Marshall. Marshall being my significant hero in the educational world. I think we have undervalued him as far as what he did. So he, along with many of the others, we want to eulogize and show the wisdom behind their efforts to make it what it is today, especially in education. Brown versus the Board of Education, even Serrano versus the Board of Education. You know, average daily attendance has a big significant effect on the kids who come back and forth to school. You know, all of your local taxes were compounded in Beverly Hills, but in Watts they were poor. So across the board, we thank Serrano for taking that and winning that case. But the Board of Education, you know, Marshall, healing the wounds of slavery, you know, and ending segregation and giving us free public education is very significant. And I want to give that to the educational museum. And I want to collect different displays of African American history, Native American history, Holocaust, the Armenian disasters. I want to kind of preserve all of the cultures, especially the tolerance that goes along with all of these. And hopefully it'll never happen again when kids become educated in that space. Today, I'm working as a CTE teacher at Big Picture High School. And I'm acquiring partnerships in the art world with sign companies, print companies, and other galleries, museums, to try to bring a community oneness together. When the kids transition from my class, they can go right into being very effective, even beyond the fundamentals. And I teach the fundamentals, first of all. And most of the time when, you know, it's not how talented you are, but how much you learn to advance yourself. And that's where we're at in my class. And we will want to be doing some sublimation heat press printing. We will be doing 3D printing. We were doing clay mixing and all of the fundamental developing stages, the building blocks of art. And we focus on one student at a time here. And they are very talented, and I'll be working with them diligently and rigorously. Is there anything else I can add?
Yeah, how are you training them? I know you retired, you know, and now you're back teaching and being the director of this new initiative. How are you training them for museum service? Or have you thought about that in your curriculum?
Well, I think based upon the amount of students and the amount of time that I have, once they learn the schools of art, once they learn the building blocks of art, once they learn the history and the appreciation of art, I think that would fundamentally prepare them to, you know, give a presentation or becoming a docent in any museum, because I'm teaching them art language. You know, I'm teaching them all of the fundamentals, the schools of art, the artists in those schools, the famous ones, the ones that struggled, the ones that that were very successful from the beginning to the end, the ones that died young, the ones that died old, and different ethnic groups of artists. I teach them, you know, the mannerism, the high and low Renaissance. Teach them all the different artists involved in it, from Vermeer to Andy Warhol. So once they learn all these fundamentals and have the practice and learn how to go from A to Z in developing a composition, that is power to speak or to do any kind of a presentation in a museum.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's no room for disagreement in any conversations that we have about the arts and how we're training young people to come into this work. A lot of schools forget about the business of art when they're bringing students through the art department. They're not training them in art administration, even in business, you know, in terms of how to sustain their art practice and where they can go with their art practice. You know, I know that has been the norm in the past, but I just think that the work that we're doing now with the young people, even up in Sacramento, we have a fellow on the line, you know, that I want you two to talk and cross-pollinate and make sure, you know, because Aisha will be able to bring a lot to the conversation that you're having in, you know, in California. So I'll get you her information and you guys share information with each other. She's a fellow for the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum in Sacramento. And our project is being funded through the Institute for Museum and Library Services. And she's coming in as an archivist and a researcher. So,
Well, Alpha, at this time, I'm gonna have to leave our Zoom meeting. I would introduce some of my students, or even have you watch them perform.
okay, you can
But,
turn
I
the
don't have-
camera on them.
I don't
Oh, you
have
don't have a
permission.
written consent. You don't have written
No.
consent.
I don't, so I'm gonna have to leave right now.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining our conversation, and hopefully you'll be able to join again. And we can get an update on where you are. I can get a link to find the project and its location in Fresno.
All righty, thank you.
All right.
Bye now.
That was great. Oh, I'm glad that he was able to join us from the classroom. It's so Dr. Pat, we're gonna unmute you. I do have a short video that I pulled up of the one of the programs that you all did. It's under YouTube YouTube channel. So I'm gonna get it set, so that I can pull it up and I can share that.
Fine. Thank you for all you do, Alpha.
Oh, you're welcome.
Together for you, join us. Join us in thanking teachers, in celebrating their honors. They've put so much effort into educating and overcoming challenges. Listen to their stories. Take pencil and paper. Take notes. Do comments. Share with other people. Tonight, we are going to enjoy and make a group of other professionals. Next,
Where's your volume?
welcome Pastor Gregory Douglas of the Native American United Methodist Church in Anaheim, California, with a message. And follow that will be Miles Chapman.
Oh, you look pretty.
At the Harbor
That was
High
done
School.
right.
He is singing the national anthem and giving the pledge.
I'm Gregory Douglas, a pastor here at Native American United Methodist Church.
That was
Maybe in
Gathered together to honor teachers, one to remember how Psalm 78, we are encouraged to not only teach one another, to share the wisdom of God, but to pass that on in teachings for generations to come. So let us pray.
I think that's all
And
you want to
this
get.
is-
Ask if she could turn it
This
on.
is the pastor who was there yesterday. He opened the event.
Thank you for the ways
Pastor
in which
Gregory,
you share
remember
with us
him?
your stories, your pathways, all the strength
He's
you
praying.
give us through that. We ask you to not only lift up those who are being honored here this day, but we ask you to pass on their teachings and wisdom to 7 generations to come, so that we might not only be
Alpha.
connected to one another.
Excuse me, Alpha, this is Vera. I'm here with Dr. Pat. Are you able to turn the volume up on the video?
Just a minute. And can she mute herself, please?
Okay.
And I would love for you to join me
What
in the
about
Pledge of
there?
Allegiance, followed by our national anthem. Place your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs burst
Around the city during the summer. And I got so much support from teachers and politicians and the community. Our kids were exposed to so much that today, so many years later, we have 750 inductees into the International Educators Hall of Fame from 51 countries. We started back then, the first one, 1992, with only 12. Look at the difference. To further the story about the Hall of Fame, we want you to look at and listen to the Hall of Famers today and their stories through the Congressman Lou Correa and Master Tokumbo Adelekan. He's a pastor in Tabernacle Baptist Church, Dayton, Ohio. Lou Correa, thank you. Pastor Tokumbo Adelekan, thank you.
Hi, I'm your Congressman, Lou Correa, speaking to you from here, Central Orange County. Dr. Patricia Adelekan, I want to congratulate you for creating this great group of individuals called the International Educators Hall of Fame. And today, of course, we're here to honor 23 new inductees into your Hall of Fame. International education. It's very important, not only to you, but to me. I represent Central Orange County, a place where at least 100 languages are spoken. I represent an area that, in my opinion, is the new Ellis Island of the United States. Why? Because this is where immigrants from all over the world come to make their dreams come true. They come to search for the American dream. Folks from all walks of life, folks from all parts of the world, living next to the greatest generation of Americans, World War II veterans and other veterans. And it works really well, because that's what we do in America. We are a land of immigrants. We come from all walks of life. And international education, what you do, is what makes it all come together. International education is about learning languages, learning about different histories that we all have, and learning about culture and making it all come together so that we can become a better country and hopefully a better world. I thank you for all the good work that you're doing. And let me tell you, in Congress, we share your vision, which is one world working together across borders to make sure that the future is brighter for all of us. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations to the inductees and to all of you that do God's work. Muchas gracias, felicidades, and let's get busy.
Greetings. I am Tokumbo Adelekan, the senior pastor teacher of the Tabernacle Baptist Church of Dayton, Ohio. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and I currently live and work and labor with the awesome people of our church here in Dayton, Ohio. The areas of my scholarly concentration include, but are not limited to, theology, theological ethics, congregational studies, as well as Africana and Afro-American studies. Well, we truly believe in the transformation of the head, heart, and hand. And I must say here that I was a very junior member of the original beloved community that sired this awesome team, this awesome assembly called the Educators Hall of Fame. And so I'm glad that I have been schooled in tradition, socialized to be part of this group. I thank God for all of those that mentored me and led me, beginning with my own mother, Dr. Patricia Adelekan. God bless you, Mom. Thank you that you've taught us to use the mind to serve the community, to uplift others, and to transform the world. And having said that, I leave you with this great hymn of the church. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, who sent his son, my soul to save, and fitted for the sky, to serve this present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, made all my powers engage to do the master's will.
And I just wanted to leave with that. And, you know, he was one of the young men that I met 37 years ago, and when he was one of the older teens, and where he is in his life now with his tutorage of his mother, and seeing all the work that he's doing in the community. And so all the students that came through the internet, through the program, are really successful, in terms of the work that they're doing now, around their practice. I'm gonna take you off mute, Dr. Adelekan, so that you can, have your comment for what you're doing there in Anaheim, with the Legacy Museum.
Yes, the Legacy Museum is a research and learning center where we're preserving the legacies of outstanding humanitarian educators. And I think the reason you saw that young man, my son, there is that he is an educator. He has he went through Youth on the Move, and for all of Youth on the Move is closely tied with the international educators, because we realize and we profess that it takes a village to raise young people. It takes a village, and all of the people, the educators, put their hands on the young people one way or the other. The criteria for the Hall of Fame is that the educator has to be retired from the field of education, or at least have served 20 years in the field of education, and whatever they did, they went beyond the call of duty. And one of the relationships were intergenerational. We went to and recruited these educators that were making a difference and asked them if they would be the coaches and the mentors of the young people. So we cannot say that one person or two people, mother, father, or whatever, are the people who formed these young people. It was a village for whatever they had. My son there, he met people who encouraged him to go to the university. He went to Morehouse. Martin Luther King was one of his role models. He graduated with a PhD from Princeton, and he decided, I guess because of the people who touched him, to be his own educator, and he is a professor. So what he was saying there is that all of this is a result of people putting their hands on young people. So that's what we have here. Young people come, and we invite the educators to come and meet together. They may have lunch, soup together right here in our facility. So in the facility, there's room for discussion, there's room for research, there's room for reading and knowing history of people who made a difference. And then the Youth on the Move, the young people, you heard the young man singing, he is a high school student. And you saw the pastor has, he's Native American. So in this Hall of Fame, it is multicultural, it's intergenerational, and all ages. So that's the intent, and it works very well. And as people grow older, they remember the people who touched them. They remember the people who said something to them, who guided them. And you were one of them. They remember you very well, Alpha. Especially you were. We will never forget.
Okay.
You were a mother going back to school and finding time to give back to community. And we'll never forget the first play that you taught the young people about South Africa. And at the community college, you were their teacher, and they
That was
remember that even to today.
that was Jeffrey
Yes.
Osborne, Soweto, and I never let them play with guns or anything, toy guns, but they had the opportunity to use rifles, and they were plastic, they were toy rifles, but they did a boot dance, and they were young soldiers, that were coming in, and we were doing the Soweto. And a friend of mine, daughters, I used to teach African dance there in Fresno, so anyway, up in Sacramento, I brought the kids over and taught them, some African dance. I think they were second, third graders, and they were performing at City College of Sacramento, and everybody just stood and gave them an ovation because they were so serious about protecting and fighting and playing war. And so everybody was so tickled. They made the newspaper and all that kind of stuff, but they were like, they were really into it because the music and Soweto and what was happening in the movement in South Africa during that time in the 80s. And so, they remember that. They remember that. And then my daughter, Jasmine, I was pregnant during that time, and
she wasn't even born. No.
Yeah, she was 37. She was on my lap, because I had her that March, and then we did the program at Youth on the Move, and I had the boys engaged in that. So, and they were over at Oak Park Community Center in Oak Park, during the Youth Science Project, when Youth on the Move would have Saturday programs. So I wasn't doing the arts over there. I was doing more of the Youth Science Project over there, from CSU Sacramento, so that was during that time. And Enena Saboye over at Playmate Child Development Center in Oak Park, she still has the mural that I did for the parent organization, and where the city of Sacramento commissioned an artist to go in and do a mural there. The one that I did, and it's on paper, still hangs and exists, over 30 years later, like 35 years later, they still have that mural hanging in the as a part of the collection in Sacramento. So we have those ties to Sacramento. And again, my young people, they give back to the community. They are very involved in the work that they do, and my son, with his service overseas in the Air Force, he did some volunteer work, because some of the work that we do as philanthropists and community activists and artists, it does rub off on our young people. And so when they're overseas, they were able to do some missions that were giving back to the communities over there. So. And then my daughter here in Illinois, she does a lot of outreach with therapy, and that's her field in psychiatry, but she really kind of gives back to working with people in the community, and has started her own nonprofit as well, So that's enough about our family and our story, but our legacies, are very important. And the work that we do, we have to look at ourselves as, we may not have the millions of dollars that some of the philanthropic organizations are bringing to these institutions that we're in service for. But I think that, we have to have these conversations, and we have to open these doors for our young people to step into. So I really like the work that Will is doing, Portis is doing there in Fresno. And he's retired and went back into education. So that was kind of surprising too, as well as now being a director of this multi-complex that Fresno is invested into there. And I think it was really special here is that both of you guys are from Ohio, aren't you, Dr. Pat?
Yes, we are. We didn't know one another until recently. Yeah,
they're both from Ohio and transplanted back out to California for all these years. And the work that Dr. Pat is doing to ensure that, we've had these conversations about house museums and museums, and where does the work go that our elders have just so much, in their collection. And sometimes when they pass, the families are not really looking at their collections as more than, why do they hold on to all this stuff? you know, because we always have books, we always have, you know, objects, you know, our collections, you know, sometimes our families don't find the value in what we have, and a lot of it is lost, you know, and, you know, so I don't know if you want to speak to that, Doctor, you know.
What I would like to speak to, because the young people now, they're in their 50s, 40s, they're still calling. One of the things that they remember, we have to remember Mr. Wilson, and not only that, they remember that Martin Luther King bus that was donated to us by the Friends Society, and how we would be in the Martin Luther King parade, going down the street, and you'd have all these young people singing, coming on down, 1, 2, 3, 4, singing that song, and the bus traveling, stopping in communities, and on the bus, it was a library on there, a children's play center, and the attorney would come and sit on the bus of the neighborhood and give parents legal advice. So those young people remember that. And we have pictures with Martin Luther King all over that bus, but we don't have the bus anymore. But they remember that because they marched and sang and my. So that's one of the things that they mention when they call us. They start singing on the phone. Yes, so we'll never forget that. Yeah.
I think that's with the conversations that you and Will are having about making sure that you have that the collection that you have there at the Legacy Museum has a permanent space. And you've been looking for
Yes.
permanent space for now more than 15 years.
Yes.
You know, while you've been doing this work of where all this is going to land. And even though you have
Yes.
digital files, you really are looking at archiving it at a physical space.
A location, yes, a permanent location that will embrace the learning center and research. And as Will says, he wants the young people to be able to see pictures and read about the people whose shoulders we're standing on, the people who've made history, who were responsible for education coming to all people and so on. So that is our goal, and we want to start fundraising this year with the Hall of Fame. And for this year, the Hall of Fame, the board has decided it will be December the 27th. And Will, if he's not there, but he talked to his mayor of the city, and the mayor of Fresno said he would love to have the Hall of Fame there this year. And Will has it in his planning that new building that's going up, one of them will be the cultural center, for educators. And that's part of the plan for the city. And we're going to be going there. I went there last week. We looked around, we looked at the ground and so on. And we have a meeting with the mayor and the superintendent of schools, because it's Will's dream that this Hall of Fame, with the history of all of these great educators, would be right there in Fresno. So congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Because
aren't you from Fresno?
I was born in Fresno, yes.
Yeah.
I was born in Fresno in 1955. So I've seen a lot of change happen there. It is a metropolitan city, but it is the Central Valley. And one of the best kept secrets is the university and the art departments there. And then the cultural aspect of Fresno and its growth as well, you know. But it's the Central San Joaquin Valley, always known for agriculture, but in, you know, sometimes cow town, but it is not really that, because it has really grown tremendously, as you saw when you went.
I was very impressed when I went this weekend, all we saw. And the design of the city hall is magnificent. Oh my.
Yeah, he's
So
had
that's
some,
where it's going to be. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's been one of the premier artists there in Fresno, making things happen. Recently, Charles Gaines, he was a professor, African-American professor at CSU Fresno, and I visited one of his installations at Governor's Island in New York, and it was, you know, about these moving chains. And so there's other African-American professors, you know, Kahindi Sawazi, you know, that has made impact. You know, he's a professor at the university as well. But there's other African-American professors that have made impact, you know, on lives of folks there, African-American students there, because they've been in the department, you know, and there's some renowned artists that have come through the valley. So again, sometimes it's the best kept secret. There's not as many museums in Fresno as in other cities. There's one African-American museum, which is the African-American and History Museum of the Central San Joaquin Valley. And I think over maybe 40 years ago, they got a bank that was donated to them through the, you know, Fresno County Redevelopment Agency. And so they've been there, and they have a huge photo. I think their collection is more of photography and photo exhibits in their Hall of Fames that are in their museum. But they're right there in the art district in downtown Fresno. But they've been there, giving them credit. They've been there for a while, and they will be one of our case studies as well here in Pop-Up Research Station. So. All right, we're gonna move the dial over to Aisha, because she just did a I pull this up here on reparations, and she sent me this, but I don't have the link actually to go into and share it with you all. But she did this last Tuesday.
Yeah, do you guys want me to share?
Yes.
I can share the link, or I can share the room with
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you need me to give you the share for that?
Let me see. I think I can. My computer's being very slow today. I don't know why.
Okay, there you are.
Why it's taking so long to load? I don't know what's going on with my internet.
Yes. While it's loading, you can give us an introduction of it, or you got to concentrate.
Yeah. So for Banned Books Week, so at the San Jose State University iSchool, I am on what they call the Mozilla Hubs team. So the director has a virtual initiative where he's really pushing for library science students to become more familiar with VR spaces and augmented reality. I myself have already been doing VR for about 13 years. So it was exciting to be a part of this class full of other nerds like me that are into this stuff, because usually people think VR is about video games and things like that. So it was nice to be with this group of people that are using VR for education purposes. So my nonprofit, I actually started during COVID in a virtual space called Second Life. And as I'm learning more and more about VR, my goal is to help museums and archives and libraries to utilize VR to increase their engagement and their accessibility. Because I feel like with virtual worlds and virtual spaces, you're able to reach people that can't travel, or people that aren't able to leave their homes, or people in entirely different countries. So for example, this platform here is called Mozilla Hubs. It's a browser-based VR. There's no special equipment or anything that you have to install on your computer. You can access this from your phone or a tablet. or a VR headset. And that's one of the new things that I've learned about iSchool is about browser-based VR. I was not familiar with it before. So for my banned and controversial event, I picked the topic of reparations. One, because it's currently going on. I live in California. There are various cases of reparation talks going on right now about California. And so what I did is I created a space, so it's virtual, for Banned Book Week. And what you'll see here is information about censorship. So these links open up in a web browser. They'll just open into their website, into the Banned Books website. So that's what you're seeing here are different information about banned books and controversial topics. And you're also basically walking into my metaphor of reparations. So these photos are of Georgetown University. Not many people know, but Georgetown University was going to file bankruptcy. And in 1838, they sold over 272 of the people that they had enslaved and sent them to New Orleans. They were purchased by the governor of New Orleans to keep the university from going bankrupt. Michelle Swarns is an author of the book called 272, where she focuses on the Mahoney family, which is one of the families that were enslaved. Half of the Mahonies ended up staying in the DMV area, and the other half ended up in New Orleans. So she uses archival records from Georgetown University, from just different cases, and pieces together kind of their story of what it was like to be one of the 272. If you go further into the exhibit, you'll see there's a book talk that's by her where she's talking about the book. One of the things that Georgetown is doing in an effort for reparations and what they call atonement is the Georgetown Slavery Archive. It's a database that's on the Omeka platform where you can browse and learn about all of the documents that Georgetown University has in their archives that are related to slavery in general. They also have partnered with different organizations to do what they're calling the GU 272 project, which housed a list of those that were enslaved and sold, and stories from their families, from their descendants. So I am one of the descendants from about 10 of the different people of that sale. One specifically are the Queens family. So in this list, you'll see there are Queens members. My grandmother is a Queens, and she and her family were raised in Baltimore, Maryland. This is the manifest of the Catherine Jackson. So this is the ship that they were sent on to New Orleans. And this is also an archival record that is available for people to look at. And so what I did for this metaphor is, you have the university in the forefront, but in the back of it, not a lot of people know the story of why Georgetown sits today. So one of the things that I like to educate people on is Georgetown, what are they doing for the descendants is they have changed some names of the buildings. They've taken down some statues and some monuments. And they, however, are not doing much in terms of tuition payments. So I applied, not applied directly for Georgetown, but I inquired about attending Georgetown for my master's degree. And I asked, what is the process for descendants of the sale? For would I have to pay for tuition? There's been in the news of various people who have attended that are descendants. And I thought, if you're a descendant, you would be able to go to school there tuition free. They said, no, you just apply like everyone else. One thing that they are doing is you are treated as though you are alumni. Like if you have a family friend who already attended Georgetown, or you have, like if you are a professor at Georgetown, you get preferential application they'll look at your application. So they'll put it on the top and they'll stamp your application. So I thought that that was a little disheartening, that that's pretty much all they're doing for descendants and their education, when, you know, they've made millions of dollars of selling people to keep the university open, but we still have to pay for tuition. So the other book that is very controversial that I'm currently listening to, and I'm listening to the audiobook so that I can kind of multitask, is Sharon Draper's Copper Sun. So it's a little difficult to read, and I think that's why it's taken me so long to read it. It's a very difficult read. It's about a 15-year-old girl named Amari. She is of the Ewe people in Ghana, and she's kidnapped and enslaved and brought here to the US. So it goes into very graphic detail about her village being burned, her family being killed, and her walking from the northern region. The northern region is usually where the Ewe people of Ghana live. My daughter-in-law happens to be of the Ewe people and lives in Ghana. So she had to walk. This is like a 5-hour, 6-hour drive today in Ghana. So she had to walk all the way to Cape Coast Castle before she was shipped to the US. And so what I've done here is I've created an avatar to represent Amari, where you can listen to her speak. So this is an audio clip from the audio book in the narrator's voice.
How can I continue to live without my family? Where did these changes come from?
So there's also the book talk of the author there, Sharon Draper, talking about her book Copper Sun and her personal experience going to Ghana, doing the research of the book. And she briefly talks about the fact that her grandfather was enslaved, because a lot of people think of this as something that happened so long ago, but yet her grandfather was enslaved. And then these are quotes that I've pulled from the book that I've placed here. So my objective with this project was really to show how virtual spaces can be utilized to increase engagement and accessibility, to be able to share this with even someone who's in Ghana that doesn't have fast internet speed from their mobile phone, to be able to share spaces like this to increase education and increase awareness and accessibility of libraries and museums and archives and the things that they have there. So I'm working on the collection management at Sojourner Truth, and I'm going to be cataloging some of the masks and the artifacts that they have from West Africa. And my hope is that I can create some sort of virtual representation of the collections that are there to help increase the accessibility and engagement of the Sojourner Truth Museum as well. I'm also currently working in a virtual world called Second Life. They have a student challenge in a very small space where they're challenging students to build in that virtual space. And I'm working on a virtual representation of the Cape lighthouse in Sierra Leone that was created, I believe, in 1812. So what I'm doing is I'm taking digital images of it and bringing it into the virtual world so that I can educate people about the lighthouse, as well as kind of do some research on utilizing virtual space for preservation. So having a digital replica of things in 3D in virtual spaces can look and feel very, very realistic if you have the technology to do so. So that's pretty much what my work is going to be once I graduate. Is I absolutely love genealogy, researching my history, learning to connect. I feel like it's like a chain. You know, you have Americans of African descent here and Africans there. So I feel like I'm kind of repairing the chain by looking at our arts and our culture that we have here and comparing to what's there and looking at the similarities, even like the food that we eat, and kind of using that information as a bridge to educate ourselves about them and to help them to educate themselves about us and to kind of bridge everything together. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing in terms of archives and heritage preservation, specifically in virtual spaces. So kind of bringing the traditional archives and curation into virtual spaces.
That sounds really great. I applaud you, and I think that the work you're doing is going to fit right into where are we at? Are we the 21st century, 23rd? Where are we in terms of we're beyond the 21st century. We're on the 22nd century. Yeah. So Dr. Pat is still with us, so that the work that you guys are doing, you can see that I think that the students that Will was working with in Fresno, will really need to kind of look at this type of programming there and training students there as he's working with the docents and those fellowships. So somebody had a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, this is Vera. I'm here with Dr. Pat with OC Collaborative Friends. My question is to Aisha. What city do you live in California, if you're able to state that?
Yeah, I'm in the Sacramento area. So I'm in Roseville, California, about 30 minutes from Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Dr. Pat's going to step away for a few minutes. How much longer do we have, Alpha?
Oh, we have like another, half an hour, but if you all are going into a session or workshop or, we're pretty casual about coming and going. So,
okay. Oh, no, she's going to step away for a few minutes and she'll be right back.
I'm taking a body break.
Oh, and your role there at the center.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be electively new board member, and I'm a registered nurse. I started my own online health and wellness business called Claim Health and Wellness and Nursing Corporation. I take a holistic approach to helping people reach their optimal level of health. It's all online, and you can find me at Claim Health and Wellness. And I was my first client. Started my wellness journey in 2021. I didn't like the way I was looking or feeling, so I asked God to help me to get well, and I started on my wellness journey. And a year later, I was able to lose 70 pounds. And 24 years ago, I had what we call gestational diabetes, and that's when you're diabetic during your pregnancy when you were not diabetic prior to that. And so being a registered nurse, I knew the conditions that go with being a diabetic. So anyway, I was able to reverse that after following the regimen the doctor and the dietitian had put me on. So everything I do is just teaching a holistic approach, because the foods and drinks that people are eating and drinking and the lifestyle of not moving their body is killing people prematurely and causing health conditions. And so my mission is to help people optimize their health by taking a holistic approach, nourishing the mind, body, and the soul. And that's what I do.
Yeah. Here at Proper Research Station, we offer a rest, the art of rest. And we have that coming up on the next week, actually on the 17th, where we have a presenter, we call her Gigi. And so we do have segments on art and wellness, because people in this field, we sometimes are the most neglectful of our minds, our bodies, our souls, because we're just so
Yeah.
engrossed in doing this work, and we take on so much of everyone's, energy while we're doing this work. So, thank you for introducing yourself and your field, and what you're doing, and maybe we'll have you back to talk a session or something in the future.
Will do. And is the Art of Rest, is that going to be on Zoom, online?
It'll be
or
here
is it
at-
all in person, or is it mixed?
It's here on the Pop-Up Research Station Cafe, which we're a virtual cafe, and I also should have told you guys you could have brought your lunch today because it is a cafe, and take that
Okay.
break that you need to take. But we're here every Tuesday, Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 1, and then we're on the East Coast as well at 2 o'clock.
Oh,
We've been doing Pop-Up Research Station Cafe now. This is our 3rd year being on the virtual cafe.
so it's Pop-Up Cafe?
Pop-Up Research Station.
We can send you an
Okay,
email
I'm sorry.
with all the links.
Yeah.
Okay.
Liza, you want to say something about the cafe?
Yes, it is a consortium for art consultants, and we really utilize this space to share with other people doing similar work for mutual support. And then we have speakers, and we do post them on our social media accounts, and we will be posting with permission today's event so other people can enjoy it on their own schedule. And please feel free to invite anyone who you think might benefit from this space. We sometimes have breakout rooms if we have more people who come, who can have their own conversation. We're open to suggesting topics. If you have a group of people who want to meet that would like to have conversations around the work that we do, we're open to that as well. And I will post in the chat our cafe menu, which can be shared to anyone. Let me see, right there. And that has kind of a history of some of our speakers, resources that we've collected, links that people have shared, and often we'll have our agenda written on that document as well. And sometimes we have a surprise agenda. So most times we don't know what will happen, and we create our agenda on the spot as well. It's a casual space.
Great. Sounds wonderful. I look forward to joining you in the future.
Did you move?
No.
Thank you. It is
Tell us
lovely.
what's going on.
And then you're going to introduce yourself. I know you asked a question earlier. Or you're just the tech support with the camera?
Oh, me?
No. I'm talking to Dr. Pat's team here.
One moment. What did you say, Alpha?
You have another person. She's your tech support, or who? That's in the room.
She is a community everything. Here she is.
I don't want to say
her name is Dolores. And please, what is her name? Aisha? Who?
That's my name. Yes.
What? How do you spell your name?
AISHA.
Okay, Aisha. Okay, thank you. This is Dolores.
Hello. Can you see me? Can you see me?
Yeah, now we
hear
can.
me? All right, I got it.
Dolores
Hi.
sings. Get her to sing for you.
I'm Dolores Moore. Basically, I don't know if I'm a jack of all trades or what I am, but I know I do have 3 basic areas. My areas is basically mental health in the Black community, or just mental health, period. I do have a son or sons basically that has schizophrenia. So you can imagine I've spent years looking at that arena and working with that arena, mental health and well-being. And also another one of my areas of concern, of course, is would be, of course, our ancestry, our lineage, where we come from. And I must say, our Black history, the history that was never taught in school. So those are some of my main areas of interest. And basically, I was like an event coordinator at a community center in Orange County for like 10 years. And it gave me the opportunity to research and share a lot of Black, our history, and not only our history, but other cultures as well. And basically, training in the mental health field and that type of thing to be a peer support specialist. So that's who I am.
And your role there
Well,
at
thank
the
you.
Legacy, your role there at the Legacy Museum?
Well, basically, my role here is that, with Dr. Pat, we're like community activists, so to speak, basically to share, as far as
Address issues.
yeah, various
Yep.
issues, whether it
Even
is
the
dealing
parenting
with civil
workshops.
rights, human rights, the parenting workshop, and just reaching out to the community. We have a small community here in Orange County of us. And so basically we are in various circles together as to where we support each other. So what are some of the other NAACP? What are some other ones?
NCNW,
NCNW.
culture, anything.
Yeah, just
Whatever
basically
you want.
anything that's dealing with us. We support one another and we basically are there.
We make our voices heard.
We make our voices heard. We do marches and just went on the march yesterday for Indigenous Day and that type of thing. And yes, they marched. I didn't.
And as quiet as it's kept, and I always put her on the spot. She has a beautiful voice. So when we have events, she usually just shares her voice with the audience. So
Dr. Pat has been doing this work for many years, and it's really impressive how you
What did you say?
I was thinking she was going to start singing a cappella here. Like she's like,
Wouldn't you like it? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'll
Okay,
share a
she'll
little
sing
bit.
something. Okay.
Let me see. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. Yeah, 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 yeah. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift every voice.
move the finger out the way.
Every voice. Yeah, lift every voice and sing and sing. Lift every voice. 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 Lift every voice and sing and sing. Ooh, that made me cry.
Oh, you.
And then, and
That's
then,
Uh-huh.
you know what, Dr. Pitt, don't get me started.
We all
Right.
crying, girl.
Dr. Pat. I sing
You guys
this
are
to
having
Dr. Pat.
way too much fun. You're having so
Add
much
a
fun.
little sugar, honeysuckle land, a great big expression of happiness, boy, you couldn't miss. With a dozen roses, such would astound you. The joy of children laughing about you. These are the makings of you. This is true, the making of you. And I am so proud to be associated with Dr. Pat. Yeah, she has the knack and the gift to bring us all together. Yeah, we fuss, sometimes argue. I tell her.
She does, but I know. I just watch. I just be watching
This
her
is the
and keep
makings of her,
quiet.
and I appreciate her. Yeah, the
Oh,
children,
my.
and the roses, and that type of thing. So that's what we do down here.
You
Sounds
like that,
you,
huh? I can.
yeah, you sounds like you have a lot of fun down there.
Yeah, Alva, look at her. You missed her. You weren't here when she was here
No,
about few
yeah.
weeks ago. Yeah,
No,
that's
I
my
could just-
girl.
That's who we
Yeah,
be.
I could just see all of you at board meetings. I could just see you all at City Hall. Give them what they want, give them certificates,
I'm
give
telling
them
you,
proclamations.
to get ready for when we do the Hall of Fame in Chicago. Say, here they come.
Looking from you.
See, oh yeah, we got people in Chicago
And
who are in the
knowing
Hall of
who
Fame.
we are. Okay. Well, let me start.
I love that smile.
Oh,
what
yeah, listen to them about the art.
cried
and
too,
success.
Well, I shouldn't have taken my party break. I missed.
Yeah.
Need to get back on.
There they are. Oh, let's see.
I could just imagine the fun you all have there in the building. You know, where the
Yeah.
museum is, where the Educators Hall of Fame is located in Anaheim. You guys are at this the building is Office Suites.
She's been here. Yeah, that's where we are. You were here. You spent the whole day. In fact, you sent a picture. You took some photographs here.
I did. I
You
did.
remember?
I know, but everyone else on our call didn't come visit. Didn't come visit that day, but I had spent the you know, that flying into where was I? Long Beach, and then driving over to Anaheim after touring, you know, different places and doing some
That's
site
right.
visits. And then saying to you that we were going to start a case study. The Pop-Up Research Station was going to start a case study on the work that you're doing there in Anaheim. So this today was kind of like a follow-up call, you know, to get the conversation going and to make sure that you're part of the documentation that we're doing here at Pop-Up Research Station. And as you can see, all of everything is just a little bit of in that room are of the certificates and the file folders and, you know, over the, how many years, Dr. Pat, of doing the Educators Hall of Fame is right here in this resource room.
Right.
So
Over 35 years, about 35.
yeah.
Started right there in Sacramento.
Yeah,
Right.
of things that need to be transported now up to Fresno and archived and scanned and digitalized. So, you know, she's looking at a lot of work and to kind of get those interns in there and get people trained to do the work in their next step.
Yeah. Yes. That's
But
what we need. Intern and yes. Yes.
Yeah, in any way that Pop-Up Research Station can help with advising you, then you can always pop in, ask some questions, share some links of what's going on. You know, I really wish today, and we'll be bringing it later, but had the links to the work that's been going on there in Fresno. I don't even, what location are we talking about? So we could have shared that. Do you remember the street you guys visited? Where they're
Do
building
you
this town?
mean in Fresno?
Yes.
Do you know for it's the university just opened about 4 months ago. It's called I think it's called the West Fresno Community College, and it's not far from where um he lives. You know that side of town?
That's the east side, actually, where, oh, yeah, I know the west side. He does have two houses where the gallery is on the east side, and
Yeah,
so let's do
and
some
his house, I guess, is on the west side. So it's not from his house. And they just opened the new university. And we saw where they cut ground and they have the space open. It already fenced around for the next part, for the cultural center and the museum. And I think they said they'll finish in a year and a half. They just opened the other one. Yeah. About 2 months ago. Even this year, 2023. Yeah.
I'm looking for it. I'm kind of researching right now. I'm looking for it. Mayor, Fresno City College.
Did you say the mayor?
I was just looking through Google, looking up what's going on in Fresno so I can see what's happening here with finding a location of this new place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
seeing.
there? You're not there, right? Yeah, there. Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
All right.
Alpha?
Yes.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
No. I thought you had a question.
No, I didn't. I was looking for, in the background here, I was looking for the college. It was West Fresno Community College. So I went to City Colleges of Fresno to find this campus.
The only thing I see
Did
is
you-
just an art space gallery that the Fresno City College has. But I don't, didn't he say this is something new, right?
It's brand new.
This is new. They haven't, but this one, can you
Here it
look
is,
it
I
up
found
on Google? I found it on Google. I put down the newest universities in Fresno and it came up. What I did, I Googled it and maybe 2 weeks
It's
ago,
right here.
and I
It's
put
right
in
here.
the new universities in Fresno, and then this one came up.
Yeah, this one here is the West Fresno Center.
Yeah, yes,
Right,
that's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
nice building. And that's the site of the new centers, the museum and the cultural center. Did she get the name of it? It's called, what's the name of the cultural center? The Museum of, American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation. The American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation.
Okay, it's on Church. I know where that is on the west side.
Okay.
I don't see.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, look at it.
Okay.
It's nice. Oh, in fact, I have a picture. We took a picture. Oh, Alpha.
Yeah.
I'll send you the pictures. We took pictures.
Okay.
Send you the pictures.
And
after. Okay.
I'm looking for you said it's the Museum of
the American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation. And that's going to house the International Educators Hall of Fame. The museum, our Museum our museum. Let's see.
Where I'm looking at, I don't think this is the right one. This is in Los Angeles. This is the one it came up on mine. Let's see, the Museum of Tolerance.
The only thing that I
No,
found
it's
was
the
that
no, no, no. It's called It starts with American.
I got it. I got it. I got it. American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation. There's several of them, but I'll look for the one that's in Fresno.
Okay. And then I'm trying to find what we do with the plaque. I don't know. The one that we're bringing in is the Educators Hall of Fame. You said it right the first time, in the beginning, and we have.
Okay, let me
Director plan to give new life to the center.
Along Fulton Street in downtown Fresno sits the African American Museum. It's been honoring Black culture since 1986. The museum
It's not that. I've been there too.
Just a minute.
Reopen its
That's
doors
when.
this year. Its 9 new and seasoned board members plan to revitalize the location and will focus on strengthening the community connection. The new executive director, Nefesha Ruth Yisrael, says the conservation of African American history is personal to her.
On my father's side, we come from the Maryland Eastern Shore. That's where Harriet Tubman came from, and she is my third cousin who moved. And so I feel a deep connection with the Black community. I feel an important connection of purpose and passion to continue the work that was started by my ancestors.
The museum is currently open for private tours. It features paintings by local artists and photos that showcase the museum's history. It's the only one in the Central Valley that focuses on African American culture.
The museum not only holds and holds the stories of the past, but it also is telling those stories and it's creating new stories, right? So it's preparing
This
us
is
for the
African
future.
American Museum in it, one in Fresno. I've been there, but this is not.
They are working to raise money for
He purposely stayed away from the word African American. He said it would be harder to get money.
It's the biggest fundraiser of the year.
Plus, they have that one.
Opportunity to bring this space back to life.
And this one is the American Museum of Tolerance and Cultural Preservation.
So you guys were talking, it was kind of like I was showing the African American Museum that currently exists there, but you weren't on mute, so I just came out of that, but I was trying to share that. But it wasn't the one that's on Church, but this is the original African American History and Cultural Museum of the Central San Joaquin Valley is what was being shown. And Will Portis was on the board of directors there for many years at that museum.
I've been there. I've been there. So it's long ago, maybe as many as 10 years ago. Yeah, in Fresno.
Right.
Yeah.
Alpha.
Yeah. Yes. You can ask questions now.
Well, no, I take a look at the chat real quick.
So I have a question. Dr. Patricia, you guys were saying something to the effect that if the museum has the name African American in it, it's hard to get funding. Can you speak a little to that, what you guys were talking about?
No. That's Will who informed me. When he gave me the title, he said he purposely stayed away from calling it an African American museum. And probably the reason, well, I tell him, we're including indigenous people, other people, and it's cultural preservation, not just of one group of people, but we want to attract a broader audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying the same thing about your missions are different. You know what I mean? It basically is based on the mission of the museum and not any objectives.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
The mission of the museum is to preserve the legacies of outstanding human beings who change lives, transform lives through the medium of education. And education is broad. So that's the purpose of our museum. And to teach history, because as we said, you know, and the way we've written our books, and they're the only ones like it in the Library of Congress. And you know, every day, every week that we see any of what we've done is we have a unique collection and a unique purpose in what we do. Many of the people were living when we wrote their histories. And young people met them. Now they've gone to the next world, and we have some of their original documents. It could curricula, it could be so many things, the history and stories, and it's just wonderful. And you know, we've done it how many 4 times in Egypt. I got a whole suitcase, and that's why we're going through things, a whole suitcase of original things from Egypt that the educators used. And we've done it in Nigeria twice, and so many, as we said, from 52 countries. And it came from the people's mouths and their own personal things. And one of the things when we have in Fresno, one of the things that we've always required is that whoever is inducted, they create an exhibit showing their life. So before we had the presentation of the awards, people gather, is like in a gallery, and walk around and meet the human beings there, and they look at what that person has put together as an exhibit. It could be their certificate. It could be a newspaper article. It could be something they made. And a lot of those things we still have, and on bulletin boards. And you know, in Florida Mall, we had it in Florida Mall once, because the mall saw all of these educators as people whose lives should be exhibited. And so they gave us a storefront. They said they would give us a storefront for 6 months, right? Where we would have the educators in the storefront put up different exhibits. Well, we ended up having that storefront for 10 years, and educators came in about every 2 to 3 months from all over, and they would tell their friends, meet me in the mall. We can have lunch then. I want you to see my picture. I want you to see the book that I wrote.
Right here in the front, Toyota Corolla color white.
No.
No? Okay, good.
The Toro, the white.
Toyota Corolla white car.
You can bring it to me. I'll keep it.
What?
You want to give it to me? It's my gift. My gift.
The car or the key?
Neither. So, and they stayed there for about 10 years, and people, they had Hall of Fame event right there in Florida Mall and so on. Because, you know, when I came from Africa and I got that job in Sacramento for the school district, my first responsibility was to go out and meet the people in this community and see what they think about the school. Visit the schools and see if they're funding themselves. Well, when I went out and I knocked the doors, there were so many people who were the first Blacks. I said, what? This was your first school district? They said, yes. And they talked about their stories. And you just sit and listen and say, what? and you're still teaching after, or you're still positive after teaching for 40 years or something. And they would tell you stories like the school would have a special event and leave the black teacher out. So if the black teacher had to go to the restroom, she'd be walking to the restroom and look over in another room, and the whole staff is having a party and didn't invite her, or they wouldn't give them supplies to teach their students. So one person said she made her own student outfits out of newspaper, and you sit and listen, and tears will roll down your eyes, and you say, look at the courageousness of these people. They're still teaching despite their treatment. And that's what made me think of honoring them. Like, we don't know what people go through. And so when we had it at Mr. Wilson's Rancho Royal, they were honoring the athletes. I know hundreds of people were there, and the athletes eventually walked across the stage. Everybody was clapping and clapping. And I was looking, I said, you know what? That's what teachers need. That's what teachers need. And quite a few of the educators said, you know what? I believe you. And let me be the secretary of your event. Let me help you put it together. And that's what started it. And that's why we say teachers who retired and they did more than the call of duty. And it's not me, but other people who knew them, or they were the students. And so that's what this museum is about, to bring before youth. They could be 6 years old, 16 years old, 26 years old, people who really paid the price to teach and to make life better for their students, regardless of how somebody else treated them. And so that's one of and people wouldn't know if we didn't have these books and took pictures. People they won't know who they are. Dr. Catherine Favors and her husband and so many others. So, and then all over the world, you find out teachers are the least paid of professionals. And you have a big event, and you have the mayors there, you have the presidents of countries, and they would tell everybody, can all the lawyers stand? And the lawyers will stand. Can all the business people stand? Nobody says, will all the teachers stand? And sometimes you ask them, did you and I remember when I went to Nigeria, and the same, they said, just see what you can see for 3 months. And I would go and sit and listen, and you just see the morale just killed of the teachers. But people expect those teachers to make their children and other people leaders, right? So I would ask some of the people when the time came, I said, did you ever honor your teachers? And they looked at me like I was insane. What do you mean honor teacher? So I presented them and showed them what we had in America. And then you tell them, and they envision themselves on the national TV, this minister of education or whatever is honoring educators. Now they're looking at themselves TV because they honor the educator and they buy into it. They didn't buy into it for the teacher. They bought into it because they get to be on TV, and you just build them up. That's okay. And so, and once you build them up, they will do anything. They say, you can have the buses, you can have my secretary, we'll pay for the awards. They will do everything because you've built, you built them up. So anyway,
So
you have to go with me one day. Go ahead.
Yeah, you've been doing this work for a long time, and I still get accolades from you know, teachers that have been inducted into the Educators Hall of Fame. And when I see Diane Chatler here in Chicago, she's always talking about her experience. And when her and her husband flew out to Sacramento to be a part of the awards. And, you know, so you're doing a really great job. And even Dr. You know, well, whatever, I can't think of the other teacher name that I nominated. You know, she was at Byler Elementary School, and she came back with all of her awards, and you know, she just couldn't believe, you know, the work that you've done to galvanize and to get politicians to pay attention to the work that you're doing and how you're honoring these inductees. So again, thank you for the work you're doing in the field, and we'll be following you as a case study and with pop-up research stations.
I know we're supposed to end, but I was really hoping we could speak to you, and if you would be willing to come back, we would love to have a small conversation about youth programs. We have a nonprofit. You know, obviously, sometimes the best way for nonprofits to fund a lot of programs is to have youth-based programs. And I would love to ask you some questions if you'd be willing to come back to help other nonprofits learn from your experience.
I would be honored.
Oh, thank you so much. Wonderful. I look forward to seeing you as soon as possible.
Thank you. And I'll have my team. We are the collaborative. So the collaborative is coming Anaheim.